Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Heck here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a basic beginner's guide to rust electricity and what you can do with it. So I've kind of organized everything into little digestible compartments that I'll use to explain. The server is dank build. If you want to come and try this on yourself, I recommend it. Not many people play on it, so you don't have to worry about lots of raids going on and whatnot. So, I know a lot of people get confused by electricity. Personally, I can see where they're coming from. It can seem pretty daunting, and then you just can't figure out what you're doing. So this is going to be to help you with that. So the first thing I want to start off with is alarms. These are things that you can hook up with a power in, and there. And whenever they're set off, whenever electricity is flowing through them, they will be, make a sound, make a noise, whatever they are. The thing after that is traps. The only thing that can be hooked up with electricity is the Tesla coil and the auto turret. Now the auto turret needs, I think it's 25 electricity to turn on properly, and then the Tesla coil will do damage proportional to how much electricity it gets. So if it has 100 electricity, it'll be doing a lot of damage. Now, important thing to know when you have a Tesla coil is that when they're being shocked, you could say, you're slowed, okay? So you start moving really slow, and you can't jump. So if you want to make a trap, the design would be blah, 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 something like this. You'd have your Tesla coil somewhere in here, and basically once they hop over this, they're stuck. And the only way they're going to get out is by dying. Good thing to note about your Tesla coils is that the more they're used, the more the health goes down, so you're going to have to repair them. And you need to remember that. Now, shotgun traps and flame turrets, just in case you don't know, they shoot at anyone that doesn't have building privilege. Shotgun trap requires handmade shells. You cannot use buck 12 gauge. Let me show you real quick. If I could type, you can't use these. And I have the pirate language on. That's right here. I just prefer it. So these require handmade shells to operate. And this uses low grade, and obviously it shoots a flame. Auto turret needs only 5.56. You cannot use high velocity or explosive ammo. It won't work. You have to use 5.56, and you need to have building privilege to get auth on the turret. And then obviously you need to power it. It also has a couple other options like no ammo, low ammo, and has target. These can be used to set up logic configurations, which I'll show you over there. So if you wanted to maybe have a door close when the auto turret has a target, you would hook up a door controller to this has target. I'm going to cover door controllers in a different episode, hopefully, because they're a little bit tricky. I haven't exactly figured out exactly how they work, so I'll have to figure that out. Next section I want to move on to is detectors. These are basically anything that will give a power out signal when they are triggered. These require power to come in, so you'd use your power generators over here, or you would use a battery. Now, battery is pretty self-explanatory. You don't really need to cover these. They're large, medium, and small. They're large, medium, and small. It just holds how much power they can give out, blah, blah, blah. They're not kind of complicated. I can cover them if people want me to, but you don't really need to have a tutorial on them. Now, all of these require some sort of power in, and that power out will be how much is given in minus 1. Every electrical component that you use will have minus 1 from the power. So if I want to have this siren and I want to pass through to something else, if I give this 50 electricity, 49 will be coming out. It's a good thing to note if you're trying to do a complicated circuit with these. So this is a laser detector. Pretty much it'll shoot a red little beam, and then anyone that crosses the laser will set this off, and you can set that up to like a door controller where it closes the door. This is a heartbeat sensor. You can configure this, if I can get it right, Try to remember. Okay, it's not letting me for some reason, but you would use your hammer to configure it. You can either have it set off for people who have tool cupboard access, okay, people who don't have tool cupboard access, or both, or none. None doesn't make any sense because that's why you would have it here. But I mean, it exists if you want to do that. If you want to turn off the trap, the detector, maybe that works. Moving on is the pressure plate. It's pretty self-explanatory. Someone steps on it, makes a sound. Now, the thing you can know is you can hide these kind of under rugs. So basically, the trap will still go off over a rug. So that's pretty much the only way to hide them is by putting a rug over it. And then now people are going to be cautious when stepping over a rug, but if you're just making a quick trap base, it's a pretty good chance no one will notice. Next thing I want to go on to is logic. This is where it gets a little complicated. I just remembered I haven't put the splitter up here because there isn't really logic, but I'm going to put it up there anyway. So I'll go by these one by one. This is a splitter. You have your power in and then 3 outputs. Now, the amount of power given to each output is how many you have connected, and then you divide that by here. So for example, if I have 50 power coming in here, and I have 2 things set up, each thing will be getting 25 power. Now if I have 30 power coming in, and I have 3 things set up, each thing will be getting 10 power. So if I only have 1 thing set up, then it's just passing through right here, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of it. You also have to remember the -1 rule. It's going to -1 on everything. So it's not a precise, it's not exact, but it's good enough. You don't really need to worry about that one electricity too often. Now this is a blocker. You can use these for, I like to use them for automatic light systems, where you set up solar panels to this. Now basically you have your power in, so you have the power go through here, and then a power out. Now whenever this block pass-through gets a certain amount of electricity going through it, it will block the power out. So the power out will be 0. Then as soon as this stops, the power out will start again. So it's a continuous flow until the blocker will stop it. This is a electrical branch. This is useful if you have a circuit that you just want to branch off really quick. Essentially you have power in and a power out, and then you have a branch out. Now the point of the branch is that you can configure how much power you want the branch to have. So if I have 100 electricity coming through here and I want to give off 30 to whatever I have connected over here, type in 30. Now it'll just subtract 30 from whatever this number is, and then this will continue on to whatever circuit you have. Your power out will keep going. This doesn't stop the power out, but it will be your power out will equal your power in minus your branch out. This is a root combiner. This is really useful for I like to use them for solar panels. Essentially it takes a one input and then another input, and then combines them into one output. So this can be used if maybe your solar panels aren't generating enough electricity. They'll come through here, and then basically they'll combine to have a stronger power output. The thing that they're really useful for is connecting to batteries. Since batteries only have 1 input, you're going to have to combine all of your electrical inputs to put them in here. Now you can charge them a bit faster with some cool, tricky kind of combination, but in the end you're going to be limited in how much power you can give out through each component. Next up is the AND switch. Basically how this logic switch works, place it further down here, kind of place these high up. How this works is you have input A and input B. Now anytime that both of these have power, there will be a power output. It's an and because they both have to be. Like this and that. Next up, we have the timer. Now the timer has your input and then your output and then a toggle on. Most of the time you can just, if I could not be slow. I don't think the server likes this. Toggle on will be used to turn it on. You can just set the timer so that it stays on. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me clicking my keyboard. It's not letting me, turn it on. But pretty much this will just, you set it for a certain amount of time. Maybe 60 seconds, and after 60 seconds, either the power will be on or the power will be off. That's all, whatever you configure it to. Next up here, we have your XOR switch. Now the XOR stands for exclusive OR. This means that either A or B will be on, but not both. If you have A, just A, you'll be having power out. If you have just B, you'll have power output. But if you have A and B, the power will be blocked. And then kind of self-explanatory, if neither of them are on, you're not going to have electricity going through. Right, here's the OR switch. This is like the XOR switch, but not the exclusive part. This means that if one or the other or both are on, power will be going through. So if this one's on and this one's on, I'll still have power out, versus the XOR, where if I have this one on, I won't have power out. That covers logic. That's probably the most complicated part of this, and if you're building complicated traps. Moving on to power really quickly. This is your generator. You have a force start, which you can turn on remotely. A force stop, which you can also use to turn on remotely. And then a power output, which you'll be using to charge a battery. Now, generators are powered with low-grade fuel. And the amount of low-grade fuel... the amount of low-grade fuel in there will slowly go down with however much using it. So if I turn this off, I won't be losing low-grade. If I turn it on, I'm going to start using low-grade. Moving on to solar panels. These are very useful if you want to create something that goes off of daylight or doesn't. For say, like I said, the auto light thing, you can have these combined to a blocker, and then that'll block it anytime light's on, but as soon as they stop getting power, the blocker will stop and the power will go through, and you'll have your lights turn on. And show an example of that. I won't show you it in action, but this is the wind turbine. This is by far the best method if you want to generate electricity. The benefit of the generator is that it can be a little bit covert, so if you're building a trap base, you can have it be on the inside, and then people can hear it, but they won't see it. Wind turbine is loud and proud, and tall, obviously. You can see that. Pretty much, you have your power output, and that's how much power you're going to get out. Now, the higher you build a wind turbine, so if you build it way up here, you can be getting upwards of 275 power output. The closer it is to the ground, the less power you're going to be getting. We're moving on quickly to the radio frequencies. You can control these with either a RF transmitter or a RF broadcaster. So here goes real quick. Anytime you want to use a radio frequency, you're going to need an RF receiver. And there's two ways to broadcast. The first way is a handheld method, and then this way is on set. So if you have a detection, trigger an RF broadcaster, broadcaster. That RF broadcaster will be picked up by the RF receiver, which can give power output to, say, open a door. That's my favorite way to use these, is just opening doors, because you can use that to trap people in. Now the opposite to this is a handheld version, which you can click, and that will activate the broadcaster. Now that beeping you heard wasn't the broadcaster, it was this pager. Now, I use this pager by going into here and setting this frequency to 87. This frequency can be whatever you want. It doesn't affect the power output. It's all just depending on what you set it to. And then basically they need to be on the same frequency for it to work. Now this pager here can be used on oil rig, not cargo, small oil, large and small oil rig, and excavator, the excavator monument. Now basically whenever those are activated, this will be set to a certain frequency. You have to go to the monument to find it. They're kind of hidden. It will make a loud beeping sound. So what I want to demonstrate here is that it will make a beeping sound even if it's in a box. So if I go over here, you can hear it. Now to show you what the actual sounds like, what this actually sounds like, you can hear that humming sound. That's what the RF receiver sounds like. And then you can set this to maybe you want to tell if someone's in your base. You can have it set up so it triggers an alarm system, and you'll be notified. I guess I'll give a quick little demonstration of what I meant by the blocker real quick. So you're going to need is solar panels, blocker, root combiner, and a light. Where are the lights? There they are. It's a really easy circuit. I'm going to place this back down. Basically, you combine your inputs here. This comes to an output. This output you set up to this blocker, to the pass-through. Your power input you set up through the generator. And then if I go over here real quick. Power output. Power input. Now let me show you here. This generator is giving electricity to the blocker. Now there's no power output because my ceiling lights are blocking it. Not my ceiling lights. My solar panels are blocking it. Now to simulate it being nighttime, I'm going to clear the power. You might have heard that click. That's because this is no longer being blocked and my light is turned on. Just show lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off. Now, to say it, maybe it comes back to being daytime, I reset up this power blocker, and the light turns off. This basically just makes it so you don't have to waste your battery power or your generator power when you're at it. You set it up so your generator only turns on at night too. So this means you won't be wasting your batteries or your generator on lights that don't need to be on during the day. So that's my kind of quick tutorial. If this video does good and people want to see more, I can do more in-depth explanations. I can show some trap bases. I know this might have sounded a little rushed. Sorry if it did. There's a few things I didn't cover, like batteries and explicitly how to use all of the components. If you guys like this and you need something else like this, I can definitely show it to you. So that's it for this time. I'm going to head out. See you guys later.